Good morning, students. Welcome to lesson number 11, Struggle for Equality, Standard 8, Subject History, Part 1. In the progress of modern India, struggle for political freedom, that is, one's freedom to exercise one's right under laws of country, was important. This struggle was based on broad philosophy of man's emancipation. Emancipation means process of being free from legal, social, political restrictions. Hence, when people struggled along with political dependence, they also opposed certain things like feudalism. Feudalism is a system of land ownership in which people were given land and protection by higher rank and worked and fought for them in return. That is, holding of land in exchange for service of labor. There was also an opposition against social inequality, economic exploitation. Economic exploitation is taking advantage of group of people in order to profit from them. Moreover, along with the principle of freedom, the principle of equality is also important. Thus, the contribution of various movements were built up by various social groups such as farmers, workers, women, Dalits, as well as streams of socialism which gave importance to inequality that proved to be very significant. So, without realizing its contribution, we will not be able to understand the development process of modern India. Therefore, let us understand and study some of these movements. The first movement that we are going to talk about is peasant movement. Peasant means agricultural laborer, farmer. The Indian farmers had to suffer due to the ill effects of British economic policy. The British government used to protect the landlords and moneylenders. Now, why were the Britishers supporting the landlords and moneylenders? Now, the culture of borrowing money from the moneylenders by the peasants were common in order to pay the revenue to the Britishers. The high rate of revenue demanded by the Britishers forced the farmers to borrow money, and when peasants were unable to repay the loan, the zamindars would take them to the court to get their land auctioned to recover the loan money. In this way, the peasants suffered a lot as they were unable to repay the loan. They gave unjust treatment to the farmers. On many occasions, the farmers rose against this injustice. In one occasion, the peasants in Bengal formed their union, their leadership, and revolted against the compulsion of cultivating indigo. We can obtain a dark blue dye from indigo plant. Now, as the demand for blue dye in Europe was increasing, the Britishers forced Indian farmers to grow indigo because indigo planting became more and more commercially profitable. So the peasants in Bengal, they formed their union and they revolted against the compulsion of cultivating indigo. Another revolt was seen in the play Neel Darpan, which was written by Deenbandhu Mitra, who brought to the notice of the society the wretched, that is, horrible conditions of the peasants producing indigo. In 1875, farmers from Maharashtra too rose in revolt against the atrocities of the landlords and moneylenders. The farmers in Uttar Pradesh in 1918 formed a organization Kisan Sabha under the leadership of Baba Ramachandra. In Kerala, the Mopla peasants rose in revolt against the British government, but the British government crushed it down. So, in 1936, with the initiative of Professor N.G. Ranga, the Akhila Bharatiya Kisan Sabha was established, and Swami Sahajananda Saraswati was the president of this organization. Now, this Sabha presented a declaration of peasants' right to the Indian National Congress. The session of the Congress was held in rural part of Faizpur in Maharashtra, and thousands of peasants attended this session. In 1938, due to heavy rains, the crops in eastern Khandesh were destroyed, and the conditions of the farmers were turning out to be miserable. So, in order to get the land revenue waived off, that is, the land revenue dropped, Sane Guruji organized meetings and processions at many places so that they can demand the Britishers to drop off the revenue so that the farmers can come out of their miserable conditions. Sani Guruji even took out marches on the collector's office. The peasants participated in large number in the revolutionary period of 1942. Now let us look at the next revolt, that is Workers' Union. In the later half of the 19th century, textile mills, railway companies and such industries had started in India, that is after the World War I. The workers' group had not aroused on large scale, but in this period, efforts were made to solve the problems of the workers. Shashipada Banerjee and Narayan Meghji Lokhande, they organized the workers at local level, and Lokhande's contribution to the working class movement was so valuable that he is described as the father of the Indian workers' movement. At the same time, an agitation, a protest was launched against the wretched condition, that is, the horrible condition that the tea plantation workers were facing in Assam. In 1899, the Great Indian Peninsular Railway workers, they called in for a strike for their demand. During the anti-partition movement, workers carried out strikes from time to time in support of Swadeshi. So after the First World War, there was a rise in industrialization which gave a rise to workers class in India, and so the necessity for nationwide worker union was felt. With this necessity, in 1920, All India Trade Union Congress, that is AITUC, was established, and the major role in the working of AITUC was done by N.M. Joshi, and Lala Lajpat Rai was the president of the first session of the AITUC, and he told the workers to actively participate in the national movement. Later, due to efforts of socialist leaders like Shripad Amrut Dange, Musafar Ahmad, etc., socialist ideology spread among the workers. These socialist leaders also formed militant organization. In 1928, a strike was organized for 6 months by the mill workers, Mumbai Mill Workers Union. Similarly, such strikes were made by the railway workers, jute mill workers, and others. The government was troubled seeing the growing strength of the organized workers' movement. Hence, it made several laws to suppress the movement. In this way, the struggle built by the workers was decisive for the national movement. That is, the workers' struggle proved to be supportive to the national movement. So, in this part 1, we studied about the struggle for equality in the social groups of farmers and workers working in industries, the problems that they were facing, and the number of revolts they organized to fight for their equal status and freedom. In the next part, we will study about the contribution of movements built by women, socialists, and Dalits. Thank you.